Hello, dear audience. Today's story revolves around CEO Tung and Tu Anh, a warm and emotional love story in which the two of them work together to build their dream home. From an empty piece of land, they stayed side by side through every stage of the process, from laying the foundation, building the walls, installing the roof, to finishing every small detail. It is not just a journey of constructing a house, but also a journey of love, trust, and deep connection between two people who are always moving toward a shared future. When the house was finally completed, it was not only a beautiful building, but also a symbol of happiness, effort, and sincere love that they had built together. Tu Anh was deeply moved to tears as she stepped into her new home, while CEO Tung quietly smiled with happiness, knowing he had given the woman he loves a complete and warm shelter. If you enjoy gentle, emotional, and meaningful love stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video to support us. Thank you for watching and see you in the next stories. CEO Chung had been carrying a long-held dream in his heart, one that went beyond business success, fame, or wealth. After years of hard work and building his career, he finally decided it was time to create something deeply meaningful for Tu Anh, the woman who had quietly stood beside him through challenges, pressure, and countless sleepless nights. One morning, with calm determination, he made a life-changing decision. He would build a brand new house for her, a place where she could feel safe, loved, and truly at home. It would not just be a property, but a symbol of gratitude, commitment, and the future they could build together. When Tu Anh first heard about his plan, she was completely overwhelmed. For a moment, she could not say anything. Her heart raced and her eyes softened as she looked at him, trying to process the depth of his intention. A house was never just a material gift in her eyes. It represented trust, stability, and a promise of something lasting. Slowly, emotions filled her chest, and a bright smile appeared on her face. She felt seen, valued, and cherished in a way she had never experienced before. It was not just about luxury or comfort, it was about love being transformed into something real and tangible. That same day, the couple decided to visit an empty piece of land located on the outskirts of the city. The area was quiet and peaceful, surrounded by open space and gentle winds that carried a sense of calm. As they stood there together, Tu Anh looked around and imagined what it could become, a warm home filled with laughter, morning sunlight through the windows, and evenings spent together after long days. CEO Chung stood beside her silently, observing not only the land, but also her expressions. For him, her happiness was already shaping the blueprint of the house more than any architectural drawing could. They began discussing ideas right away, walking across the land while pointing out where the living room might be, where the garden could bloom, and where the windows should face to catch the sunrise. Every step they took felt like the beginning of something new and meaningful. Tu Anh suggested soft, cozy designs with natural light and open spaces, while Chung focused on strength, structure, and long-term comfort. Together, their ideas blended perfectly, practical yet emotional, modern yet warm. It was clear that this would not just be a house designed by professionals, but a home shaped by two hearts working in harmony. As the sun slowly set that day, casting golden light across the empty land, a quiet promise formed between them without words. This place, once lifeless and bare, would soon become the foundation of their shared future. And in that moment, CEO Chung understood something important. Building a house for Tu Anh was not just about giving her a place to live, it was about building a life, a memory, and a love story that would stand strong for years to come. The construction of the house began with a sense of excitement and deep emotional connection between CEO Tung and Tu Anh. What once was an empty piece of land slowly started to transform into a place full of hope and dreams. Early every morning, before the sun rose completely, Tung would arrive at the site to check the progress. Despite his busy schedule as a CEO, he made it a priority to personally oversee every stage of the construction. For him, this was not just another project, it was a promise he was building with his own hands and heart. The first major step was laying the foundation. Heavy machinery roared across the site as workers carefully prepared the ground. Tu Anh often stood nearby, watching quietly as the structure of their future home began to take shape. There was something magical in seeing concrete and steel slowly forming the base of what would become a warm and loving home. Tung would occasionally walk over to her, explaining each step of the process, ensuring she felt included in every decision. He wanted her to know that this house belonged to both of them equally. As the days passed, the walls began to rise. Brick by brick, the structure grew taller, symbolizing not only physical construction, but also the strengthening of their bond. Tu Anh would sometimes bring water and slight snacks for the workers, showing her kindness and care. Tung noticed these small gestures and felt even more motivated to create something truly special for her. He often paused during meetings with engineers to adjust small details, such as the height of the windows, the placement of doors, and the direction of natural light, ensuring everything matched Tu Anh's vision of a perfect home. One of the most beautiful parts of the process was how they made decisions together. During breaks, they would sit under a temporary shade near the construction site, discussing colors, materials, and interior design. Tu Anh preferred soft, warm tones that created a peaceful atmosphere, while Tung suggested modern yet comfortable elements that would last for years. Instead of disagreeing, they complemented each other perfectly. Every choice they made felt like another step closer to building not just a house, but a shared life. Even in the hottest afternoons, when the sun was harsh and the air was heavy with dust, neither of them lost their enthusiasm. Tung would roll up his sleeves and walk through the construction area with the engineers, while Tu Anh would observe carefully, offering thoughtful suggestions. Their teamwork became the heart of the project. The workers often admired how the CEO and his partner treated the construction not as a job, but as a journey filled with love and dedication. By the time the roof structure began to form, there was already a strong emotional attachment to the house. It was no longer just steel and bricks, it had become a living dream. Every beam placed and every wall completed carried their shared energy. And through all of it, CEO Tung and Tu Anh realized that building this home together was also building trust, understanding, and a future they both longed for. After weeks of hard work, dedication, and countless shared moments at the construction site, the long-awaited day finally arrived. The house was fully completed, standing proudly under the warm sunlight like a symbol of love, effort, and dreams coming true. Every detail had been carefully finished. The smooth walls, the perfectly aligned windows, the elegant roof tiles, and the beautifully designed entrance. It was no longer just a construction project. It had transformed into a real home, filled with emotion and meaning. CEO Tung and Tu Anh stood in front of the house in silence for a moment, simply taking in what they had created together. The air felt different that day, softer and more peaceful, as if the house itself was welcoming them. Tu Anh's eyes slowly filled with tears as she looked at the finished home. She could hardly believe that the empty land they once stood on had become such a warm and beautiful place. All the memories of planning, building, and working side by side came rushing back to her in waves of emotion. Tung gently turned toward her, noticing her tears, and smiled with quiet pride. For him, the greatest success was not the completion of the building, but the happiness reflected in Tu Anh's face. He softly held her hand, giving her a reassuring squeeze, as if telling her that this was only the beginning of their journey. Tu Anh, overwhelmed with gratitude and love, leaned slightly closer, feeling safe and deeply cherished. In that moment, words were not necessary. Their emotions spoke louder than anything they could say. Together, they stepped forward and walked toward the entrance of the house. As Tu Anh placed her hand on the door handle for the first time, she paused, taking a deep breath. It felt like she was about to enter a new chapter of her life. When the door slowly opened, sunlight poured inside, illuminating every corner of the home. The interior was exactly as they had imagined, warm, elegant, and filled with a sense of comfort that immediately wrapped around them. Tu Anh walked through each room slowly, touching the walls, looking out the windows, and imagining the life they would build here. She pictured mornings filled with soft sunlight, evenings spent cooking together, and peaceful nights under the same roof. Tung followed quietly behind her, watching her reactions with a gentle smile. Every step she took inside the house made him feel that all the effort, stress, and sleepless nights had been worth it. Eventually, they stood together in the center of the living room. The silence between them was full of meaning. Tu Anh turned to him with teary eyes and a radiant smile, unable to hide her emotions any longer. She thanked him softly, her voice trembling with happiness. Tung simply shook his head slightly, as if to say that no thanks were needed. For him, building this home was not a duty, it was an expression of love. In that unforgettable moment, surrounded by the home they had built together, both of them realized something deeply important. This house was not just made of bricks, wood, and glass. It was built from trust, sacrifice, shared dreams, and love that had grown stronger with every passing day. And as they stood there side by side, they knew that this beautiful home was only the beginning of a long and happy future together.